Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Jule namaste sasrikal to you all. So in this video we will be talking about the book A Trip to Kashmir and Ladakh. In my introduction I have already mentioned about my channel, and if you are new here, so I recommend you to watch my previous video. So today we will be talking about the book A Trip to Kashmir and Ladakh, which was written by Cowley Lambert. So basically the book was written in 1870 and it was published in 1870 by H.S. King, London, and this particular book was reprinted by Gulchan Publishers, Srinagar, and it was published in 2013. So the original title of the book was A Trip to Kashmir, Cashmere, and Ladak, Ladakh. So here they describe they spelled the spelling is Kashmir in Ladakh. So Cowley Lambert visited Ladakh in the late 19th century, and he described the region Kashmir and Ladakh. So here in this video we are not concerned with Kashmir, we will be talking about Ladakh and how he represented Ladakh. Lambert, as Debbie Lyle, says in his as Debbie Lyle says in her book, The Global Politics of Contemporary Travel Writings, that a travel writer has two visions. One is cosmopolitan vision, then another one is colonial vision. So colonial vision is the vision of a travel writer in which he always contrasts the encountered in which he represents the encountered culture in binaries, that is good, bad, civilized, uncivilized, cultured, uncultured, educated, uneducated, etc, etc. So in cosmopolitan vision, the travel writer does not compare his culture with others, rather he celebrates the culture. So he celebrates the culture, he celebrates the difference in language, he celebrates the difference in culture, region, and all those things. So when a travel writer when the travel writer defines the encountered culture in binaries, that the representation of that encountered culture, people, or religion or region is not as it is something different. So it becomes something different quite naturally, because the presenter, the writer basically is very much obsessed with his culture and with his identity, and he always deems the other as inferior, as primitive, as pagan, as savage, as Edward Said has already described in his book Orientalism, that the West always considers the East as primitive, pagan, savage. Cowley Lambert is also an example of an Oriental writer in which he describes the Ladakh in a very negative and a primitive way. So he entered Ladakh through the formidable Zojila Pass, and he passed through Dras, Kargil, Pashkum, Shergol, and Mulbek. So like other writers, he didn't mention any specific thing about the region, the district Kargil. Yes, there is an exception, that he described the fort and the polo ground of Pashkum in a very beautiful manner and in a very romantic way. So he is very much impressed by the polo ground and the fort at the top of the hill, and he just imagines that how at that time the kings and queens used to enter, and the armored spoils or the armies used to enter in that battlefield and showcase their strength and courages. And he is also reminded of a Chaucer's beautiful poem, in which he also describes in his book. So the representation of people starts when he reaches the village Mulbek, and I want to quote it from page number 65, that the inhabitants of this place were a dirty, savage looking lot of brutes, some with pigtails and some with their long greasy black hair hanging loose down their backs. They are all followers of the doctrine of polyandry, and that in itself was sufficient to inspire us with a strong feeling of disgust. So there is nothing to explain, you already know about the meaning of this particular sentences. Uh, and when and After that he reaches the famous Ladakhi village Lamayuru. So and there he starts to describe the monasteries and the people out there. So when he reaches the monastery, first of all he is very much impressed by the location of that monastery. So the location of the monasteries was always upper to the always at the upper side, when compared to the villagers. So it's on the upper side of the village, it's on the mountains, it's on the on the upper side basically. So he says that these monasteries are built on sand and gravel rocks, and according to Lambert is always sleeping and giving lively movements to the people who are living under it. So it's been more than 2 centuries that the generations have passed, and the monasteries are still there, people are still going in and out, and the lamas and the nuns are there doing religious practices from decades, from centuries, and that particular monastery and the monasteries, the temple are still there. And after that he reaches Leh, and there he encounters he encountered first time with the with the dance and songs of Ladakh. So Ladakh is famous for also not is famous is also famous for its folk songs and dances. But Cowley Lambert is not impressed by the dance and songs of Ladakh. So when he saw the dance and song for the first time, so he wonders why they called it a dance. So it should be called a funeral walk round. So it's literally written in his book that it should be called funeral walk round. And the moves of the dancers were so slow and solemn for Lambert that he cannot decipher the moves of the dancers. So the Europeans have the view that sooner these dancing families died out the better. So yeah, the incident which took place at Saspol is worth to mention here, that they were supposed to stay at night in the village Saspol, which is located on the highway between Leh and Kargil, or Leh and Srinagar. So there was a local boy called a local boy which was about to assist them for their night stay. But something went between Cowley Lambert and the local boy, and the local boy did not clean the particular place, and the clean the tents and the place of Cowley Lambert. So after that, Cowley Lambert directly went to goes to a tree and cut a string and started to beat the boy. And after that, the boy agreed and cleaned all the things. And he tells to his readers, and these sorts of people do not understand any other language than of violence. So in other words, we can say that these people only know the language of violence. So yeah, so after that, he visits the Hemis monastery. So Hemis monastery is one of the famous monasteries in Ladakh. So apart from yeah, it's one of the famous monasteries in Ladakh. So in every year festival of Hemis monastery is organized in the midsummer. Hemis monastery is also a valuable monastery when we see from the perspective of history. So it has many histories. So we will not go into that. So we are concerned only about the representation of Cowley Lambert, how he represented the monastery and how he represented the festival of the monastery. So when he reaches the Hemis monastery and saw the dances and festivals of the monks and nuns, so there he is also not very much impressed. Actually he is disgusted by the songs and dances and the attires of the monks and lamas, which they wear different masks, on that particular occasion. So Cowley Lambert tells his readers that they are moving round and round and round as if they are invoking a devil. So at last he tells his reader that for thanks God that it did not appear. So the attires are, represented as very grotesque, as a very, in a very very negative manner. And uh, he also calls those dances also as funeral walk around. um, the dances with the mask on was supposed to teach the local people, teach the common people about their pros and cons of their daily lives and activities. And Lambert didn't understand the religious ties bound with that particular attires, dances, and the moves of the dances and the attires and the masks. But he just simply passes comment, passes his judge, simply judges the songs, dances, attires and masks without realizing its true identity, without realizing its basic purpose. So after that he goes to see the lamas of the monastery. And at that time the first head, the head lama was not there, the second head lama was there. So he is very much impressed with the attire of the second head lama. And after that, when he goes to see the all the lamas, the group of lamas out there, so he is not very much impressed, and he calls the lamas as the dirty looking savages, brutes, and these are the people who do not wash in their entire lives. So by looking at the lamas of Hemis monastery, Cowley Lambert concludes that the Buddhism religion preaches two things in their religion. First is never to wash, and second is never to take off their clothes until they are positively drop off from their body. So this was all about the representation that Cowley Lambert has represented Ladakh in such a negative, in such a bizarre manner. At last, I want to say that I am very much overwhelmed by your positive responses to my previous video, and I am very thankful to you. So if you like this video, kindly like, share and subscribe to my channel for further coming videos. So in the next video we will be definitely talking about Marco Palace, and see that how he represented Ladakh and its people, culture and religion. Thank you. See you. Take care.